Right, and we're live now today. I'm joined with boxing legend Augie Sanchez, legendary fighter, the last man to beat Mayweather. Had some cracking fights on TV that a lot of fans will recall. And he's now a top boxing coach and is coaching some big names today. So, how are you doing, Augie?
I'm doing great. Everything's going well here. Just staying busy, taking care of my family, and coaching some fighters.
Yeah. So, I've seen a couple of videos of you taking Hassan Rachman Jr. on the pads recently. And he's obviously got that massive fight with Jake Paul. Can you tell us how that preparation's going, mate?
Everything's going good. He's looking sharp. His timing is uh, is is on point. Um, he's ready to go. It's gonna be a great night for him.
I think like a lot of question marks that a lot of people have for Rockman going into that fight is maybe about how he's going to make the weight to 200 pounds. Can you see how that's coming along or not?
No, not really. I'm just working with him in strategy and fight plan. He has his other nutritionists and his other coaches for that. But from what I see, he's looking good. He's looking trim. He's looking in shape.
And will you be helping out in the corner on the night with Hassan?
Not as of right now, he hasn't asked me for that to help him in the corner. Um, so I'm just kind of behind the scenes and preparing him for that game plan.
Well, I look forward to seeing that, and my money is on Hassan Rachman Jr. So, Augie, you had like a bit of a legendary amateur career. Can you tell us about how you got into boxing and everything?
I had two older brothers that I looked up to, and so basically I was like 4 or 5 years old, uh, and basically just kind of crawled into the ring and started emulating my brothers and copying them and what they were doing, and the rest is history. So now here I am. I had a good amateur career, fighting. I had 186 amateur fights. Beating Floyd Mayweather in the Olympic trials, and after that, turning professional.
Can you tell us about like what it was like facing off against Floyd Mayweather? Because I heard overall you fought him 4 times altogether. So what was it like coming against like a modern great like Mayweather before he was so well known?
Yeah, yeah. We were roommates before we even fought. So yes, we got to know each other really well. We were pretty good friends, and and then yeah, the first time we met was the USA Nationals. The first time in the semifinals, and that's where we first competed against each other. And they're all great fights. They're really good fights, really close fights, um, to a point where it probably could have went either way. Uh, but no, they're great fights. Um, you know, knowing back then, I wasn't really thinking about like what he's gonna become. So I know he was always confident in his ability and his techniques, and always shadow boxing, and talking about like how he's gonna be champion. And so I you know just kind of ignored it really, and this just going along my business. But no, yeah, from back then until now, I mean, he's did phenomenal things, and he's like known as one of the greatest fighters to ever step into the ring. So for me to have that win over him is a great accomplishment. And yeah, so it was a
Well,
good.
I mean, you're the last man to do it so far, Augie, and I mean, he fought 50 fights, he fought some greats. But if you had 186 amateurs, did you come across any other notable names in the amateur ranks, mate?
uh, in my fights, yeah, I fought Diego Corrales. I fought Carlos Navarro, that were very good professionals as well. So yeah, I mean, I fought, and there probably been some other guys that I fought that I mean, that didn't even realize it. So I mean, because so many fighters that I fought, but those are just a couple just to mention that I've competed against.
How did things go down with you and Diego Corrales? I mean, he was one of my favourite fighters, and that first fight he had with Jose Luis Castillo has got to be one of the all-time greats, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was great. Yeah, again, we kind of grew up in the amateurs together. Seeing each other at boxing events and at camps and all that stuff. So me and Diego were really good because we were on the same region. So we got to spend a lot of time and see each other fight and stuff like that. And then when we compete against each other, it was at the Olympic Festival in '94 in St. Louis, Missouri. Then that's where I ended up. I beat him in the semifinals, and moving on to the finals and winning the tournament. But no, he was a very, very tough competitor. It's on YouTube, so you can see it. It's a war. It was back and forth. We both had big shots, big punches, and so he hit me some big punches. I hit him. So it was a good back and forth. It was a good fight.
Well, you were both known in the paid ranks to get in some really good wars. So, I mean, you went on, I suppose, in your amateur career to have wins over a few future world champions at the time. Did you leave the amateur ranks with like any regrets about anything? Is there anything you wish you did that you didn't do?
No, not really. I mean, obviously, just trying to make the Olympic team in '96. That's all. That was the ultimate goal was to compete for USA, and obviously, I came up a little short fighting Floyd, but no, I don't have any regrets. I felt like it was just I had enough amateur experience to turn pro, and so once that then the Olympics passed, then I just turned professional and started on with my professional career.
So, tell us about what it was like turning over for you. Did you go straight into a big TV deal? Did you have to work your way up? What was it like for you when you turned over, mate, as a pro?
Yeah, no, I thought it was. I mean, I had already had a promotion company I lined up already with Top Rank Boxing, and so I was signed with them when I first started professional. So it was good. I had a good start out to my professional career. Then I ended up finding Jorge Paez, and that fight was really going to determine whether I was going to move up in the ranks and get bigger fights, or it'll just kind of keep me stagnant and staying right there. But I ended up getting a victory over Paez, in which I used to see him fight when I was growing up. So it was kind of because I always enjoyed him fighting, and being in the ring with him was definitely a pleasure and honor to be in there. So so I ended up beating him and moving on with my career and lining up the Hamed fight and some other fights as well. So I mean, I feel like I accomplished a lot in the sport for me competing.
What was it like coming up against Naseem Hamed? Because I mean, he was one of the biggest stars in Britain at the time. He's like
Yes.
known as a legend over here. He had a massive personality, and he was sort of taking over America. And like in your fight, which I've watched back, like I mean, you nearly upset the apple cart. You dropped him. What was that whole thing like? And how do you think Hamed maybe's compared to other fighters that you came across, like Floyd Mayweather?
The only, Hamed, he was very flamboyant and had a pretty difficult style, but he had a lot of power. So myself and him, we both had a lot of a high percentage of knockouts in our records, and so basically it was kind of like who was going to land the bigger shot first. So and even although I did put him down and all that. It wasn't hard enough, but he got dropped. He came back up, and so it definitely showed a lot of heart and will, to continue the fight. So, and no, he definitely was a great fighter. He brought a lot of money to the featherweight division. He so it was excitement. It was excitement to fight him.
And how do you think like Hamed compared to Floyd Mayweather?
Well, I mean, it was two different styles, right? Floyd, is a more of a they're both, I guess, counter punchers, and but it was this more conventional fighting Floyd, because he has more conventional style as opposed to the Hamed, So, but ultimately, they both are counter punchers and timing their punches.
So after the Hamed fight, I remember like you suffered another defeat and you got your pro card sort of suspended for a while. A few fights after the Hamed fight, and you appealed and managed to win your license back, but you never came back. Can you go into any of that scenario?
Yeah, well, I ended up fighting Luisito Espinosa straight after the Hamed fight. So I ended up fighting Luisito Espinosa for that fight, and stopping him in the 4th round. And then I had another fight after that. Then I ended up retiring after that. So my boxing license was suspended for a little bit, but then I ended up getting my license back and leaving on my own terms.
I know. I remember reading one of your interviews when you said it was about leaving the sport on your own terms. You said you had no regrets about your amateur career. Did you leave the pro ranks with any regrets at all, Augie?
No. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to fight the best, and and having the confidence in yourself and your ability. So, I don't have any regrets. I mean, obviously, if the outcome was different, but it wasn't. But no, I don't have any regrets in my professional career. I feel like I accomplished a lot in amateur and professional. I wasn't one of the highest. I did get high ranking as a professional fighter as well. So, a lot of fighters don't really ever get there. So for me to make that accomplishment was definitely a blessing.
So after your pro career ended as a competitor, how did the transition go from competing as a boxer yourself into being a trainer? Because I've seen a lot of people regard you as a no-nonsense trainer, and you'll tell fighters how it is if they're being lazy. And who's some of the best fighters that you've worked with?
I mean, I worked with I was the 2016 Olympic coach. So, Clarissa Shields, Shakur Stevenson, all those guys. So that whole team. So I was able to. I was blessed enough to pass down my knowledge to a few of them, to all of them, and helping them achieve their goals. Trying to stand on that podium and getting that medal. So it was definitely a blessing of, my first amateur, obviously you want to become Olympian. So that was a goal of mine. And I feel like I accomplished that in 2016, being in the Olympics in Rio. So not in the ring, obviously, but outside and.
Because am I right in thinking that you're like one of the coaches for the USA team?
The what?
That you're part of like the coaching system for the US boxing team.
Yeah. So I was after the Olympics. After that, then they hired me to be one of the head coaches for the US team for all the junior and youth and sometimes of the elite teams. But yeah, no, it was a great experience. Traveling the world and seeing different kinds of styles, different, from as a coaching view. A different view of different countries, how they train, and so I learned a lot as well. Being a coach, yeah, you also got to be versatile and be open minded to different techniques and understanding what they're teaching, so you could try to implement it as well. So you have the understanding of explaining to your fighters of what the concept is.
And I mean, you've mentioned some good names there in Clarissa Shields and Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah, Carlos
Who do you
Valdez.
think the most talented and fighter that you've worked with is, and who's the hardest working? And can I just ask, who do you think would win in a fight between Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields? Because Savannah Marshall's from Hartlepool, which isn't too far where I'm from on the big scheme of things. And a fight between her and Clarissa Shields seems to be hotting up at the minute.
Oh yeah, man, I'm definitely gonna be tuning in for that fight, and it's exciting to see that for the women's sport, for women's boxing. So um, it's gonna be entertaining. I really don't know. I've seen a few clips of Marshall, and I think that it's gonna be a great fight for boxing. Period. Not just for women, but just all over.
And last up, mate, can I just ask, how long have you actually worked with Hassan Rachman Jr.? Like, have you worked with him in the past? Because I know he was sort of like a very standout amateur. And
Yeah.
yeah. Can you just comment on that, mate?
Yeah, no, I've known actually the Rockman. I think he was when he first came to the boxing gym. He was like I think 13 or 14 years old, something like that. And so I kind of started him as an amateur fighter, and then he left. Then he left for a long period of time, and then coincidentally, the gym that I'm training at now at DLX Boxing. Uh, Now he's there, and then he saw me what I was doing with my other fighters, and he asked me to be one of his coaches, and so he knows that I know what I'm talking about and what I'm doing. So I definitely have the experience of what it takes to win, and
Tony Mack in the comments has said, you had Hamed hurt in the first 3 rounds. How hard was that corkscrew uppercut through from nowhere?
oh yeah, man. That's what changed the fight, was that uppercut. It was between the break. The referee was breaking us up, and he came off the ground, and yeah, he shot that uppercut, and that's what changed my mentality, my thinking for that fight. It was just and all the strategy was kind of out the window, just kind of this throwing at that moment.
Because that's the thing with Hamed, he really could just throw like bombs out of nowhere where you wouldn't see them coming from.
Yeah.
But last off, mate, have you got any predictions about how you see the Rockman Jr. versus Jake Paul fight going?
Well, I mean, I'm definitely gonna be pulling for Rockman. He has all the experience. He has a really good experience for in the sport of boxing, and he's put it in the work. And so I'm just looking to see him just execute this game plan that we're putting together, and put it into this shenanigans, really.
And do you think like the whole sort of circus with YouTube boxing is good or bad for the sport?
To be honest, I mean, yeah, he might be he's really he has a lot of followers on obviously and on YouTube and all that stuff, but he's basically just a beginner. He's a beginner with a huge following, and that's why he's handpicking these other fighters that he fought, and now he dug himself in a hole with this one. I feel that Rockman, like I said, Rockman has all the tools. He has experience. now he has to go out there and demonstrate.
I mean, I think Jake Paul's team's made a massive mistake, mate. I think that they've sort of been backed into a corner. I think that he's had to, because he's the promoter for the show, he's had to continue. Showtime's made him get a decent opponent, and I just think it's going to massively backfire for him. But I suppose we'll see. But my thoughts personally on the whole YouTube boxing is it is exciting a little bit and all the rest of it, but it sort of spoils the integrity of the sport, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's like it's a slap in the face to real professional fighters. But like I said, he's just a beginner. If it was anybody else, they wouldn't be, obviously if they didn't have a following like he did. I mean, so it would just be like just building, just building a regular fighter, right? So that's the only difference. He really doesn't have that much. He don't have any. I mean, like I say, he's a beginner. He has a basic stance, basic footwork, nothing special. He don't have the knowledge.
I think he just looks like a good novice, very raw.
Yeah.
Seems quite fit and all the rest of it.
Right,
Luke's asked in the comments, why did you quit boxing at the mere age of 24? And honestly, Augie, what people have to understand is when somebody's had as many fights as you did, 186 amateurs and 31 pro fights, I think, that's a lot of punishment. But why did you quit, Augie?
Just like, I feel like it was just when your heart is not in, when your heart and your dedication is not into whatever it is in boxing work, whatever kind of work job you're doing, you got to have the passion and the determination to for the love of competing. You got to have that in you. And obviously, I love the sport, and I never left it when it comes to being involved in it. But for competing, it was just I felt that it was just my time to. I lost that passion to, get up in the morning, go running, go train, So I felt like it was just my time just to say when, and yeah. So it was just
as the saying goes,
one more I just woke up. I was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah. I mean, like as the saying goes, Augie, you can play football, you can play basketball, and all the rest of it, but you don't play boxing.
You don't play boxing. Your heart and your, you gotta want it. You gotta want it. You gotta, that's
It's a dangerous sport, isn't it?
Oh,
if you're
definitely.
playing, you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's not a game. But
No,
thanks for that today, Augie. And is there anything you'd like to say for any of your fans or supporters out there? Any upcoming fights or projects that you've got going on?
Yeah, I'm coaching. Obviously, coaching professionally now down here in Las Vegas, and if you're looking for something, different, a different kind of point of view of teaching, I feel like I definitely bring a different strategy to. I'm not just a midman. I'm a strategy, condition, coach, and so I mean I try to implement things that other coaches don't. Like I said, I'm not just a midman or go hit the bag 10 rounds. So I'm one-on-one with you. And if anyone wants to come and see me down here in Las Vegas for something new and fresh, get a different point of view.
I actually last off, Augie, I was just gonna say, I watched a couple of videos of you training Rockman Jr. and you were like the true Geordie. Even done a video about it, and you were putting a lot of emphasis on getting Rockman Jr. to turn over his punches. What was the sort of drill you were doing there with Rockman, and what was the purpose behind it?
Well, showing the least amount of openings as possible. Whenever you're throwing a punch, there's always an opening, but you don't want to leave your face too exposed on. You want to make it difficult for your opponent to try to landing a punch or whatever it is. So whenever you throw a punch, there's always an opening somewhere. But the least amount of openings that you can prevent, the better off you can be. So basically, yeah, just kind of going over the fundamentals, going over some good form, good technique, and to prevent any kind of silly bad habits.
Yeah, because I noticed with that you were getting him to sort of tuck his shoulder in there with a jab,
Yeah.
and that really takes the right hand away from Jake Paul, which watching him so far seems to be like the only significant weapon that he has.
Well, like I said, he's like you said, he's a novice. So I mean, he only relies on one thing. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, you can't teach experience. So no matter what anybody says, no matter who's in his corner, he don't have the knowledge to make those adjustments. So yeah, so basically, yeah, that's his one punch. He's a one-dimensional fighter. Like I said, Rockman has been in the ring with tons of boxers, and so I mean, there's nothing that Jake is gonna bring to the table that he's never seen before. So I mean, is this gonna be it has the potential of being obviously a one-sided fight.
Well, I'll certainly be tuning in on August the 6th, and I think it's just a case of how well Rockman's made the weight. But personally, I think that Jake Paul's made a big mistake. But thanks for that today, Augie. I really appreciated it, and I'm a big fan, and it was a pleasure to finally get the chance to talk to you, mate.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. So, and if you're
Good.
ever in Vegas, come to see me at Dialex Boxing.
You know what, mate? I might just do that because I've always wanted to go to Las Vegas, and I've always wanted to go out to them gyms and train at some of the like hard sparring places and all the rest of it, and train with some top coaches like yourself. But I hope what you teach is if I go out there, stays with us, because I've heard what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
All right.
Well, take care, Augie. Thanks for that, mate. I'll see you later.
All right, man. Thank you. God bless.